Well, there wasn't much to do with the barn today. I know it looks like it's sunny now, but it poured rain all morning. I was a bit concerned. I looked at the forecast and it said rain for Monday. Obviously, Monday is the day we want to school 36 babies, the ones that trained last week for the most part, minus a few, plus a few. All said and done, it'd be 36. So the rain's not coming till late afternoon, early evening on Monday. So we are free and clear according to the weather right now for the first schooling. First time these horses are ever going to see the gate. 36 babies. I'll put the sets on the email. I've had the set.
Why don't we get them in that one? The other Jason, not Jason McGinnis, the other one.
Which one?
The one that took 15 horses to Ohio.
That's Jason McGinnis. Okay then.
No, the one that doesn't work at our barn.
Kirby?
No, the Jason that doesn't work at our
I don't know which Jason you mean.
The one that
So, one
had
second, bud.
The long trailer.
Oh, he works for Doyle. That's just the shipper. Ollie thinks we should give the horses to the shipper. I could probably tell you there'd be a few clients that might agree to that. We'll get to that in a minute. So we have 36 babies going over in behind the gate. For the first time ever on Monday. That should be really exciting. My only concern with that is if you've been to Mohawk in the morning, there's a big shadow runs across the track in the first turn. And for our horses, especially a lot of horses, they've never seen something like that. Secondly, our horses haven't seen shadows. There's no shadows at Tamiko. So that's a little concerning. Last week when we trained them at Mohawk, there was no sun. It was cloudy. So we'll keep an eye on that. Usually we'll warm them up over them. We'll take a couple of shadow rolls over with us. There are a couple of horses I suspect will look at things.
Daddy,
In which case, Ollie, one sec, buddy. Shh, Ollie, I'm doing a video, right? Why don't we play a game? Ollie gets a Nucky sandwich.
No.
So we'll take a couple of shadow rolls because I'm sure there'll be a couple of horses that may not like that big shadow. Maintenance Man leaped it in a qualifier last year, and then with a shadow roll on this year did the same thing. We've had horses over the years that have jumped it. Blake McIntosh had a couple of horses that fell down going over it a couple of years ago, I think. It's not a nice feeling, and certainly don't want to get anybody hurt. So that's the only concerning part about Monday. In regards to me and my injury, I've taken additional steps to make sure that I am ready to go on July 2nd and 3rd. As I said, yesterday I took my first visit to the hyperbaric chamber up here in Guelph, and that is quite the rig. Now, I went in a chamber when I hurt my hip 7 or 8 years ago in a different accident. The chamber I went into was a little more claustrophobic. It was literally like a glass coffin. You had to take all your metal off, and they bolted you in for an hour. It was funny, Jody got injured a little bit at the same time. James had broke his ankle badly. And he was, yeah, a while ago. And he was going in the hyperbaric chamber. I had hurt my hip, so I went in, and Jody couldn't make it. He couldn't go in. Ollie, no, it's all right, honey. So Jody couldn't go in. He couldn't even watch it. He's so claustrophobic. But this hyperbaric chamber is like a big submarine, and you can sit in there. A little weird. They put a mask on you like you'd see in the movies on a fighter jet pilot. And there was some tension on my arms. You could feel it. I guess the pressure drops. They said it would be the same as me diving to 40 feet under the ocean level, and the pressure was significant. And it's supposed to help healing quickly. I don't know the scientific way. The way the lady made it sound was the oxygen in your blood shrinks, moves quicker through your blood, helps healing, I guess. So I went in the hyperbaric chamber. Honey, I'm doing a video. The hyperbaric chamber hopefully helps. The lady had said, usually we start people off at just below pressure of 2, whatever the air pressure, I have no idea. She said because people can get agitated with the mask, and they can get agitated from the pressure, and we just want to make the first session nice and easy. She goes, I looked at, they have cameras in there because they have to seal it tight. And there's an intercom and stuff, and She said I looked in the intercom and you'd fallen asleep after 4 minutes, so I turned it up a bit. So when I got out, it was an odd feeling. My hands were a little weak. My arms were weak. I don't know if that's supposed to happen. It felt like I was hanging off monkey bars for 10 minutes, and it was a weird feeling. Turn that down, buddy. It was a weird feeling, but as I said, I'm going to do everything I can. I went to the gym the other day. Obviously, I couldn't work my flabby arms out, but I worked my legs out a little bit and got my heart rate up, and I'm working. So July 2nd and 3rd, hopefully July 2nd or 3rd will be my first trip behind the bike. That'll be in Pennsylvania and Ohio. Now, as I said, I was concerned about Monday with the weather. It looks like it's clearing, and we're going to have a sunny day for our schoolers, 36 of them going behind the gate. Our horses seem to come around this week. I'll talk about that in just a minute, more in depth. Obviously, White Tiger got his first victory of the year, his first start of the year last night at the Meadowlands. Dave Miller was on him. Andrew had told me he thought he had an allergic reaction somewhere in the middle of the week. He had some hives and stuff, and he was concerned how he'd race, but raced well. Not a usual, as if you guys are watching the races in the Meadowlands, the last quarters have been ridiculously fast. The last little while there, he said there was a strong headwind. Excuse me. He said there was a strong headwind. He went a mile in 54 and 2 and raced well. I was very happy with him. Another horse that looked good yesterday was Cruising in Style. I was getting a little concerned. He just needed some track work, this colt. This is the type of thing that the winter has done to some of these horses. We couldn't put any fast quarters or fast miles into them. Horses that should have needed one qualifier and away you go. 2, 3 schoolers in between. And it looks like Cruising in Style has finally shook off that ring rust, and he looked great. Mile in second in, finished second to Run Director. Truthfully speaking, I don't know if he could ever beat Run Director. Nice horse. Mile in 54 and a bit. Cruising in Style's mile, I think, was 54 and 3, 54 and 4 off a half in 57. Nothing to sneeze at. A very good mile for him. Probably race him once here. I don't know where he fits here. So he does got a lot of money off of coming off his program. I think the obvious two paths would be race him once here, get some money off his program, and send him down to the States, or race him here. If he fits in, race him here until he doesn't fit in, and then send him down to the States. But either way, we're going to start racing him next week. Stonebridge Simba was 4th in 156 in the mud. I thought he raced good. Corey Callahan had told John Boutenshane after that he had some difficulty steering him, running in. Here's the thing with Simba. Jason trained him down without a head pull. I thought he was a little annoying on the line, but drivable. Then you put that head pull on him, and as soon as he lays into it, he really gets up on top of it, and it's hard to steer him. So once he gets on the line, he really gets on it. I know John was going to address that this week, thought he was going to make a few more changes. As far as whether he goes to the Sire Stakes or the Stallion Series, I left that up to John. I'm sure there's an argument to be made for either, but personally speaking, I think a couple of trips to Stallion Series would probably help him. This colt, again, this is a colt that's very well bred. He's a full brother to Man of Many Missions. I'd like to see him race good throughout this year. And keep in mind, we're going to have this horse when he's 4, or we'll sell him. Either way, lots of racing towards the end of the year for Stonebridge Simba. I know a lot of people, and again, we're going to touch on this in a minute, but I know a lot of people, the funny way to put it would be the natives are restless. Absolutely, and for every reason they should be. But keep in mind that these horses aren't machines. They don't start and stop with a push of a button, and it takes some time sometimes. So I know everybody thinks that everybody wants to blame somebody, and I do too. But at the same time, these are horses. They're not cars. And I think we got a good dose of that when you looked at Stonebridge, Springbridge Proud. We had to sell him. Ron Burke wanted to sell him. Here's a horse that trained down with us, raced well at last year, was not in our care. Turned out in Ron Burke's farm, trained back by Ron Burke, qualified by Ron Burke. He won his second start for Ronnie in the Poconos in 54. I think they raced him once more and decided he didn't want him. This is an issue of horse racing. It's not an issue of the stable. Having horses come back mediocre or having horses fall apart. Maintenance Man, perfect example, looked horrendous from his second schooler right till last night. He finished okay, finished 3rd in 54 and looked pretty good. Now, I can give you my take on that. Maintenance Man is never put out when you never left with him. First start, they ducked him. Second start, he was long shot. They ducked him again. Third start, he drew the outside at Flamborough, ducked him again. This horse won't put out when you duck him. It wasn't that he raced fantastic last night, but he could have been a mediocre fourth, fought back on to be third. That's at least the silhouette of the horse we assumed he would be this year. It takes time sometimes, and that's racing. That doesn't make it any easier when people are writing out checks at the end of the month, but at the same time, the stable.ca was built in a way that everybody should be able to stay comfortable and budget. And also the fluidity involved with our program. If people don't want to be members or clients of ours anymore, they've had a rough run, they've had a bad ride, they're not happy, my job is to make sure that you get in and get out of the stable as easy as you can. And surely I'll be sad to see people go, but realistically, we can't possibly keep people happy. We can't possibly keep everybody happy. There's going to be people that are going to be upset. There are going to be horses that race bad, maybe multiple horses. And if it's not working out, people aren't having luck, then by all means, step away. If that means you go to a different trainer or you stay away from racing for a while or forever, that's unfortunate. But the one thing I want to make sure we do is treat people with respect and be professional. For me, I don't think I ever have said, nor would I ever say, that this is a great way to make money. It is not. It's a very difficult way to make money and a very tough way to make money. And at the same time, as it is your hard-earned dollars, and you have every right to gripe if things aren't going your way and every right to be upset. I hope you understand at the end of the day, we do the best we can. We work as hard as we can. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And we're happy to, not happy, I'm never happy to see people leave, but at the same time, I'm always going to look out for our clients first and foremost. And if that means that they liquidate some of their shares, they downsize, or they simply leave, whether they go to another trainer or otherwise, it's my job to make sure that that is as seamless as possible. So we'll keep going with some of the horses. Lincoln James won 151-4 last night, starting to find his. We'll touch on this also, what took place here with this horse in particular in a few minutes. But Lincoln James, and I said last night in a message I sent out, this is what punching below your weight class looks like. When you get to be the bully, instead of having to race at 105% every week, this is what you begin to look like, is a nice horse. And Lincoln James coming back into his form quite well. I hope he stays sound, and I hope he races well. By the time he hits the top class at Hawthorne Racetrack, he's going to feel like $1 million, and he's going to feel like he's unbeatable, and that's exactly how we want him to feel. So great job from Angie and Rob. Continued great work out there in Illinois. Did a great job with Lincoln James. Taimo Houdini unfortunately injured himself last week. You saw he made that unfortunate break at the half, just past the half in the gold event. Louis Philippe Bois, I saw him after. He told me he was going to be an easy third, and instead he ended up making a break and pulling up lame. And unfortunately, Taimo Houdini fractured his coffin bone right hind. Now, that happens. That's a racing accident. 42 years I went without breaking a bone. I broke 5 of them 3 weeks ago. Accidents happen. We haven't had, Oliver.
You have to drink because I play at 1 o'clock.
I know, it's 11. Ollie plays hockey at 1 o'clock. He plays ball hockey, and he's been torturing me for a root beer for a while here. We're going to go in just a second, okay? But thank you for bringing that up. Unfortunately, these things happen. But truthfully speaking, we haven't had many accidents happen, have we? At least not normal racing accidents. We had a horse break his tibia, which is I've never heard of. We had a horse had to have a throat operation because of a pimple in a bad place in his throat. We had a filly have a heart attack. Thankfully, she recovered fully and is back jogging now. We had an accident with a horse in a qualifier that severely set him back and myself. Now, those are freak accidents. Taimo Houdini's a racing accident. Taimo Houdini will come back. I was a bit surprised when the vet said the rate of recovery on hind coffin bones is much better than front ones, which I thought was odd. And she said the way the crack looks like, the joint is affected, so there is the risk of mild arthritis in that foot. But she believes Taimo Houdini will make a full recovery and be back, but he will be done for the 2019 season. So that's unfortunate, but as I said, at least it was a racing accident and not one of the freak accidents that we've had the last little while. And then I think it's worth noting also, Just a Tad schooled well yesterday. As you know, Just a Tad was a bit of a special case, wasn't he? Made a lot of breaks. Looked like he was starting to put his game together. Then I got hurt, and he was very tricky to drive. Made a break on James and Schooler. Or no, he didn't break on James and Schooler, but didn't look good. We entered him in Flamborough. He ran all over the track on Colin Kelly. He blew a pus pocket out of his left front foot. Now we gave him a week off, brought him over to school yesterday. Jody went with him. Jody had a big day, cruising in style. He looked fantastic. And I told Jody when he went out on the track with Just a Tad, I said, I know I've been going on about this horse for 5 minutes, but if you keep him trotting and he looks good, leave this paddock with a smile on your face, because not many people could get him around. He got him around. He looked great, finished up good. And I believe, might be a little overmatched in the non-winners of 2, but we're going to get some experience into Taddy. He's going to race next week, and that will go against a very important rule we're about to talk about here in a moment. So those are the racing horses. One little obviously bad piece of news with an injury to Timo Houdini. We get all the babies going over, 36 of them. We'll talk about that in a minute. Now we want to talk about getting the stable back on track. We look at all the stuff that went on this winter. I took full responsibility for it because it is my responsibility. But right now we have some horses racing that should be doing better. Perfect example was last night. Buckingham raced in the non-winners of 2. She could go to the grassroots next week. But I just got off the phone with Kevin, and Kevin, smart guy. Kevin and I butt heads sometimes, but Kevin, a good trainer, smart guy, and understands what it is. And he asked about the grassroots. I said, here, I'm going to make it as simple as I can. Harry and I and Jason, I called Jason after. Harry and I and Mario had a little team meeting, and I made it clear, listen, put the horses in where they can win. You don't have to do me any favors and tell me that you think the horse can compete in the grassroots. The grassroots is a sham anyway. Unless you can be first or second or third, who cares? What you're doing is paying to race against horses you likely can't beat. And the grassroots program's no joke. Greg McNair has fantastic horses riddled in there all year. Great horseman, smart guy. He puts these horses, as I said, we talked about Lincoln James and punching below your weight class. Well, it's tough to punch it below your weight class when you're always in over your weight class. So I told Kevin, put all the horses in where they're going to be 8-5 if you can. Right? And if that means we race the A-track horses in the B-track for a little while, if that means we race a potential grassroots horse in a condition claimer, get them in where they're going to be favorites. We're not doing ourselves any favors here. We got tough racing throughout the whole summer. We have a lot of nice babies coming up, but the horses that are racing right now need to be in where they can win. And we're not doing ourselves any favors in not doing that. So, what did we do this spring? We sold most of or all of our ineffective horses. I got an email yesterday. Margot got me right away. Better Call Mike won a race at the Meadows, 156-3. Great for Mike, but as I said time and time again, it's going to be very difficult for Mike to win here. These are tougher classes. I would suggest if you took any of the horses that Better Call Mike was racing against the last 3 weeks and put them in that class at the Meadows, they would have been victorious. That's not taking any pot shots at the Meadows, but the Meadows has classes for horses like Better Call Mike. So does Buffalo, so does Batavia. You might find it tough in Ohio right now, but the Meadows in the class he was in, he got the job done, and I like Mike. Said this from day one. I want to see this horse do well for Margot, for Margot because she liked the horse, but for the people that bought Better Call Mike also. I was happy to see the horse win. Now, Better Be My Delight was third or fourth. A couple of the other ones were third or fourth, and they're just horses. So what we did was we tried to get rid of the ineffective or the horses that are not going to be effective for our clients here throughout the spring and summer. I think we did a pretty good job of that last week. We sold those horses. You know, I talked to our trainers this week coming up about entering the horses and where they need to go. Now, Sunshine Inn is in a tricky spot. She's going to race in the City of London, where she will be a long shot probably. Try and get some money with her, but after that, she may follow Buckingham right into the condition claiming ranks. We just want to get some wins on the board, and we need to help ourselves, and we're not doing that right now, and it's making it very difficult for the stable. So I'm going to alleviate the pressure from our trainers and make it very simple. When you enter the horses, if you don't think they're going to be 8-5, hang up the phone. Find another class for them. So that's what we are going to try and do. I did want to touch on something I talked about last night online. I don't go on the chat room very much, the message board. I don't go on there because I assume our clients want to talk to me one-on-one, they will. But it's happened a couple of times this week where we've had some extremely constructive emails put on there, arguments why horses should be entered in different places or different classes, different driver changes, some equipment changes. All that's helpful and very good. I wish those people would have brought that to me rather than air it in the public, because ultimately the people that are going to make those changes are me and are the trainers. So I would like to hear from you one-on-one. I know a lot of people are like, Anthony, you know, you're hurt. You need to rest and relax. You shouldn't be taking emails from us. You're wrong. I love my job. My job is to make sure that our clients' questions are answered. I can't make the horses go faster. I can't make us win more races that we're not able to win. You can put the horses in where they should win. That will be the trainers' jobs. But my job is to make sure the communication flows well. Now, the problem with the message board, and this is the problem that I voiced when we decided to build it, was we're always about openness and transparency. We always will be about openness and transparency, but it's only human nature. Sitting at at home, your horse race is bad, you do what I do. You want to throw the phone out the window, you want to yell or scream or say something angry. Most people will collect their thoughts, send an email, send a phone call. Some people won't. Some people will let me have it pretty raw on an email and a text message. But when you voice things publicly, it's not helpful. And you can say, well, Anthony, you're just trying to make sure information doesn't flow. But that's not really information, is it? When people start talking about situations with horses that they're not informed about, right? You can say, well, why aren't we informed? You are informed. But when it comes to the medical history or the way we're treating a horse, when it comes to the way a horse had raced or what had happened in the race, and immediately after the race, people take to the airways to voice their anger towards a trainer or towards a performance of a horse, doesn't really help, does it? And as I said in the outset, I've let this go on because I believe if you don't want to be a part of the stable, it's my job to make sure that you exit in a way that you're at least most comfortable with. That at some point down the road, you can look back at it and say, you know what, maybe they didn't do a good job. Maybe the horses didn't race as good as they should have. But I was treated in a professional and respectful manner. That's where my job comes in. So I'm teetering on the point of actually scrapping the message board because I'm not really sure what role it plays other than to give a platform to some people that maybe don't really need one at that point. I think if many of these people sat down with me at a table or texted or emailed back and forth, we could air out any issues. Sometimes people just want to get angry and leave, and that's okay. It's your money. I get that. But at the same time, passionate people and people that have that want to vent, I really don't think airing that to our entire group is a proper way to go. So I've put disclaimers on the chat room and on the message board, but honestly, I was skeptical when we put it in place. I'm still skeptical, and I'm very, very close to just shutting it down because it kind of defeats my role too, right? If you just want to go on and say something to a group of people, well, why wouldn't you just say it to me? So anyway, I don't hold any grudges for that. I mean, people are more than allowed to be angry. As I said, it's your hard-earned money. Of course you're angry. I'd be angry too. I am angry too. Sometimes watching these races, sitting at home, is like being forced to watch a bad movie. And I do apologize for that. But this is racing. We've gone through an extremely low valley. We had some peaks last year. We had some good luck last year. We had some good luck since the inception of the stable. But it has been a dry drought, to the point where when White Tiger won last night, I couldn't really even enjoy it because I got to flip the channel over and watch Delcrest Star Angel make a break. You know, I knew that Buckingham was going to get obliterated at Mohawk. It's no fun, and we need to get back to having fun. The only way to get back to having fun, I can preach entertainment. We're all big boys and girls, and we know that the stable's entertaining. The communication's great, top notch. We got to have some luck at the track sometimes too, and we can't always win. We're not a 400 training outfit. Kevin isn't, Harry isn't, Jason isn't, and Mario won't be. We're going to bang away at about 280, 290, maybe 270. That's a respectful number and a number that should be suitable for anybody, but we're not there yet, are we? So we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. We got to start putting the horses in where they can win. And obviously things hopefully will get better when the 2-year-olds get to the track. The 3-year-olds we have now are adequate. Obviously, we're having some issues with Casanova's Jewel, Screaming Hawk. Delcrest Star Angel has told us she doesn't like London. So we have some issues with some of our 3-year-olds. Maintenance Man was better last night. White Tiger won last night. It looked like Taimo Houdini was going to have a great year. Taimo Tulo was a little bit sick. We'll get into this racing stuff in a few minutes. But for the most part, it's been a pretty crummy 2019 and the end of 2018. And hopefully we can rectify it and move forward. But rather than get angry and say things that you maybe wouldn't say out loud or to my face or to me in an email, maybe you should. And if people want to leave, it's my job to make sure that your transition, the same as it was into the stable, should be the same as it is out of the stable, as respectful and professional as it can possibly be. And if you want to come back sometime, you're always welcome. So I don't begrudge anybody, and I don't hold any grudges about what people say or what they do. I know that things get heated and people get angry in the heat of the moment. This is a sport. We're racing for more money, for money. And we're racing with your money. So I get that, I understand that, and I respect that. So that's the opening. I'm going to come back in a minute. I'm going to talk about the horses, not in a stable format this week. I'm going to talk about the horses from A to Z, mostly because I don't know if Curtis can edit this. He's in Sweden. James is in Sweden. Everybody wished him good luck, and I wished him good luck. He won a race yesterday in Solvalla, I think they call it. Sitting up near the top of the leaderboard, the Drivers' Championship, the World Driving Championship. So best of luck to James McDonald, my brother. My family is over there. Curtis is over there. Don't know if he can edit these, and I don't think he can.
Is in Sweden?
He is. So's Granny and Grampy. They all went to Sweden. Yeah. So Ollie and I are going to be back in a minute. I think he wants to go down to Subway and get a root beer. I'm going to come back in a minute and give you my take on the babies, who's going to the schoolers, who's not going to the schoolers, why they're not. Obviously, the Ontario breds. 2 Ontario breds are, the rest are not. I'll tell you why they are, why the other ones are not. I think you already know that. We're going to talk about the stables A through Z today. All the stables at once, A through Z, so that you can find them. Tell me if you like that format. So you can find them. I'll mention who's training them, how the horse did this week, whatever. But also so Curtis doesn't have to edit it, because he kind of can't. And we're going to talk about the babies in general, all of them, and we'll get you underway. The good news about this week is if I post these right to YouTube, you're going to have them tonight. So, be back in a minute. That's 28 minutes. Rambling opening. I'll be back in just a minute with the babies and the racehorses. See you in a minute.